Hello friends, welcome to my channel How To. In this video tutorial, I am going to explain what is serialization and deserialization in C Sharp. So let's start. So first of all, what is serialization? So serialization is a process of converting an object into a byte of stream or string. So this allows us to store or transmit the object data in a format that can be easily stored and transmitted. So this is a theoretical definition of serialization. So let's see it practically how to do serialization using C Sharp. So first of all, open your Visual Studio. So I have created one sample application, one console application. For understanding this serialization, we will add one class. So here I am adding one class. I am giving name it as a student class. So I am making this class as a public. I am adding some basic information related to student, such as public int id of the student. Similarly, I'm adding the properties like student name, then I'm taking the property as a city, which is the city of the student. Then I'm taking the state. Then I'm taking whether the student is active or not. So I have just created one simple student class which has some properties such as ID, name, city, state, and is active, which this is the flag which will indicate whether the student is active or inactive. Now go to the program.cs. So for the serialization part, here I'm using the library called as system.Text.Json. So I'm adding a namespace system.Text.Json. Now I am declaring one variable here called as JSON string. So for serializing this .NET object called as student, we are going to use the library called as system.Text.Json, and this is the library which is provided by Microsoft, which is inbuilt with the .NET Core version or C Sharp version or the latest C Sharp version. So we are going to use a method called as JSON serialization.serialize. Now inside the bracket, so first of all we will create a one .NET object. For example, I am creating one .NET object called as student data. I am creating the instance of the student class where I am taking some details of the student. Okay, so this is my student object. Okay, so first of all we have created the class and then we have created the student object. Now we want to serialize this .NET object or this student data into JSON string, and this is what called as serialization. So here we are using the library called as system.Text.Json. We are using the method called as JSON serialization.serialize, and we will just pass the data, student data over here. So this method will do the JSON serialization, which will convert this .NET object into JSON string. Now we will just simply print that JSON string into console. Now run your application, and over here you can see the output. Now this .NET object or student data is converted into the JSON string. So this process is called as serialization, which is nothing but the conversion of .NET object, that is student, into JSON string. So this is a serialized data. Similarly, the second process is called a deserialization, which is opposite process of serialization, where we are going to convert the stream of byte or JSON string back into the .NET object called as student data. So for that purpose, I'm going to use the same JSON string for the deserialization, and here I'm using a student data. For example, I'm declaring one variable called as student data. 1 equal to, we are going to use a method called as JSON serialization dot deserialize. So here you can see JSON serialization dot deserialize. So this is the method which will perform the deserialization of this JSON string into back into our .NET object. So we are going to use a JSON serialization dot deserialize, then the model or .NET object where we want to convert this JSON string back into our .NET object, and this is the JSON string or this is the serialized data that we are going to pass to this method. And in the console dot write line, using the console, we are going to print that data such as student data 1 dot name. Then we can also print the other data. For example, I am printing this city, I am printing the state. Okay, now just run the application, and over here you can see, so this first one is the serialized data, and we have deserialized the same data or same JSON string back into the .NET object. And here you can see the name of the student, which is Peter, the city is Newark, and the state is London. So in this way we can convert this serialized data back into the .NET object, which process is called as deserialization. Similar way, if you want to ignore the sum of the properties while serialization and deserialization, that we can simply do, just go to your class or .NET object. For example, I don't want to serialize and deserialize data, which is my property called as ID. So simply put a JSON ignore over here. Now save the application and run it again. And over here you can see in my serialized JSON string, ID is not present. So using the JSON ignore attribute, we can ignore the data or we can ignore the property that we don't want to serialize or deserialize. So in this way, we can perform serialization and deserialization using C#. So the library that we are using called as system.Text.Json, which has the highest performance than any other libraries such as Newtonsoft.json and other libraries which are present for the JSON serialization and deserialization. So this is all about JSON serialization and deserialization. So that's all. Thanks for watching my video. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel how to. Thanks a lot.